Is ICA back in the auditorium? Thank you. Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana, please join us. Honorable Minister will receive these two, and then we will commence today's brief. Institute of Chartered Accountants. You have a check for us? Yes. Okay. Honorable Minister, receive it. Honorable, what does it say? 50,000 Ghana City check from Institute of Chartered Accountants. This is going to the COVID-19 Relief Fund. We are very grateful, very grateful to the Institute of Chartered Accountants. Thank you so much. You may please resume your seat. This is week's, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Minister for Housing for Works and Housing has a quick advisory on housing and the impending rains. Minister, please join me with the advisory as we prepare for the detailed briefs.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, let me begin this brief engagement with a quotation from the President of the Republic of Ghana and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with COVID-19 pandemic as a backdrop. I quote, "We know how to bring the economy back to life. What we do not know is how to bring people back to life. This is the heartbeat of the father of the nation, that human beings are more precious than economic gains. And this non-negotiable moral virtue should guide the landlord and tenant relationship within the confines of the law when the world is overwhelmed by the novel coronavirus. The life-threatening situation we find ourselves in as a nation has not suspended the law governing landlord and tenant relationship. On the contrary, the President is calling on all Ghanaians to be law-abiding more than ever before. Now, what does the law say about eviction of tenants by landlords? Section 19 of the Rent Act 1973, Act 220, as amended by Rent Control Law 1986, PNDC Law 138, and Rent Control Amendment Law 1986, PNDC Law 163, gives us a clear understanding as to the behaviors that we should all exhibit. When your rent is in arrears for 1 month, you can be evicted. That's what the law says. A conduct which is a nuisance or annoyance or adjoining occupiers could be a good reason for your eviction. Using the premises that you have leased for immoral or illegal purposes, giving a re-notice to vacate the premises. The landlord also reasonably needs the premises for his own use or that of his family or any other person in his whole-time employment. And when we use the word haste, and our agenda sensitive, it means the landlady, where the lease has expired under Section 36 of the Act above and will become a statutory tenant. When the tenancy is tied to an employment and the employment ceases, these are the scenarios that could bring about eviction. In all these circumstances, the law does not encourage self-help, but one's recourse is a district court or a court of competent jurisdiction. May I also remind you that the landlord may face criminal prosecution if he does any of the following to the tenant. A, fraud under Section 443 of the Conveyancing Act 1973 is occasion when the landlord falsifies title to the purported lease premises refuses to divulge any encumbrance material to the title, a conviction could be a fine and an imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or both. B, rent advance exceeding 6 months could land you in jail of a maximum term of 2 years, a fine or both. Section 25(5) of the rent law as cited. This stipulates that monthly and shorter tenancies should not exceed more than a month's rent. Under Section 27 of the law, inducing a tenant to quit is a criminal offense. For example, trying to remove the windows so that because of the inconvenience, the tenant will be compelled to leave the place. Refusing to issue a rent card is also a criminal offense, punishable by a fine or imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or both. Refusing to issue a receipt for rent duly paid carries similar criminal sanctions. There is a miscellany of other offenses, but I want you to spare you any law lecture at the moment. We are being admonished to stay at home as much as possible, and even with the lifting of the lockdown, you have to stay at home. But if where you are supposed to stay is having challenges because of the bad behavior of a landlord or a landlady for that matter, it is extremely un-Ghanaian. How is it going to work in COVID environment if landlords with commercial appetites start evicting tenants from leased premises? That will be very un-Ghanaian. Landlords must also be worried potential tenants from foreign countries. It is very mandatory to insist that without a COVID-19 negative clearance, the landlord should not rent out the premises. We all know that this pandemic has been imported, so be careful that in the name of dollars, you go bring in a foreigner who hasn't gotten clearance, is not infected by the disease to come and live in premises. I need not remind you that the virus is an importation from foreigners and those who had contacts with them prior to the lockdown. The president is showing utmost care and generosity in these trying moments in the nation's history. Landlords are entreated to extend similar treatment to tenants, as they will not be spared if they exploit the situation and fall far of the law. May the good Lord continue to bless us all. Honorable Minister, yes, I promised you that I was going to be brief in this matter. And now that my senior is here, let me push on and address what I call the possible double slap. That is the impending flooding. We have COVID-19 challenges to deal with, and we also have the impending floods. The gentleman called Louis D. Brandeis, he said something that I want to quote. The greatest menace to freedom is an inert people. On the 22nd day of April 2020, I wrote to the Ministers of Sanitation and Water Resources, and Local Government and Rural Development, seeking their collaboration to embark on voluntary, and I want to stress, voluntary emergency desilting program nationwide to avert the severe flooding situation in the country during the rainy season. May I with respect quote excerpts of what I wrote to my colleagues. Very brief. The inundation of rains with the attendant floods are imminent. We just had a couple of rains. They were not that very serious, but the rainy season is here. Very unfortunate. Our country has been confronted with the COVID-19 challenges since the beginning of March 2020. No doubt, the president's handling of This worldwide crisis has been excellent and its stocks are rising. My genuine concern is that the nation should not suffer a double agony with severe flooding affecting lives, livelihood, and property during the rainy season against the backdrop of the forecast of rainfall patterns across the nation well beyond normal by the Ghana Meteorological Service Agency. It is imperative that we bring this to the attention of all stakeholders like district, municipal, and metropolitan chief executives, traditional authorities, civil society organizations, and the security services to ensure that we embark upon a voluntary, nationwide removal of foreign materials in drains in order to avert disaster in a not too distant future. I trust that the ministry will have positive collaboration with your ministries to avoid and/or contain disasters associated with rain runs in the coming months. Unquote. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, a world-class engineering requires that drainage systems of a country be subterranean. What that means is that it should be underground as opposed to open gutters. Ghana has primarily constructed open drains pre-colonial and since President Nkrumah's days. Open gutters have brought us more evil than good because of our subculture of emptying all the garbage in our homes into the open, old, and antiquated channels to the effect that they do not aid sewage flows. When we get the gutter choke with our homemade garbage, we call it bore in the local parlance, and there is a heavy downpour, there is water runoff, which has been glorified as perennial flooding. Constructing concrete drains and desilting works to contain perennial flooding has cost the nation a lot of money. Let me throw in a few numbers. In the year 2012, we spent 70,680,270 on National Flood Control Program, which also included trying to widen drainage channels and the rest of them. 17.6 million. 2013, 32,320 Ghana cedis. 2014, 24,816,006 Ghana cedis on National Flood Control Program and other drainage projects. In the year 2015, we spent 23,236,342 Ghana cedis on drainage challenges. In the year 2016, we spent 12,271,558 billion Ghana cedis. In the year 2017, we spent 8,186,016.41. And then in the year 2018, because of the generosity and the large heart of President Kufuor, we spent 220 million 584 188.69 million Ghana cedis on these drainage challenges. I want to submit that that's the largest financial injection in the area of drainage works. And that has helped us tremendously in containing the flooding challenges. With the President's financial commitment of 200 million, which has since been honored, the following deal silting and concrete channel works had been undertaken countrywide. In fact, the list is very long, and I might want to give it to the press for them to consume. Greater Accra, let me just list a few. On area drains, South Kanishi drains, Agbog drains, Hacho drains, Frafraha drains, Kasua Okru, Otinibi, Kwabenya, Kasua Obuom, Kasua Okru drains, Tua drains, Ashiama, Telecom Valley, and the rest of them. Some people have fixated that the only flooding challenges that we have in the country is a Greater Accra State. That is not the case at all. In the entire country, we have challenges with rains. May I go to the Ashiri region? Kumase Abu drains, Atonsu Abu drains, Kumase Dichem Su drain, Kumase Chirapatre drains, Kumase Adiebeba drains, Central region, Cape Coast Holy Child area drains, Winneba area drains, Aguna Swedro drains, Western region, Takrady Ayuri drains, Takrady Kumintim drains, the Northern region, Tamale Garba drains, Tamale Central drains, Tamale Guamani drains, and Tamale Guamani drains number 2. The Volta region, Old drains, Akachi, Ahoy drains. And the rest of them. The Brown region, you can look at Sunyani, Penkwasi drains. The Eastern region, that's my region, Gofrodia drain, Akwatia drain, Akropon drain lot 1, Akropon drain lot 2, and the rest of them. I will shortly release a list to the journalists for them to look at how we're able to tackle this problem. It is these infrastructure undertakings which helped the nation contain the floods last year. In fact, last year had heavy downpours, but because of the arrangement in place and the huge infusion of money, which I have said, in the history of our country, we've never received such a huge injection, we were able to contain the situation. On the 20th day of January 2020, I wrote a letter to the Ghana Meteorological Agency regarding 4 parties in 2020. On the 29th day of January 2020, the Acting Director General, Dr. Michael M. Tanu, responded, and I quote, "The rainfall patterns are expected to fall within the normal range to slightly above normal." Unquote. Putting it mildly, the expert forecast is warning us of a heavy downpour this year. With President Akufo-Addo's integrity of heart and skillful hands in leading the nation to combat COVID-19, we cannot afford to be overwhelmed by facts. That will be a double slap. It is in light of containing these 2 hostile forces that my ministry, in active collaboration with the Ministries of Sanitation and Water Resources and Local Government and Rural Development, are inviting all Ghanaians to voluntarily embark on this silting of the choke drains in their own neighborhood to permit free flow of sewage, even as we contain the devastating effects of flooding. In the all-hands-on-deck fight against COVID-19, President Akufo-Addo has called for sacrifice from all well-meaning Ghanaians. The President's generosity of heart should be emulated by all of us. Here is our clarion call. Let us wear our face mask, do social distancing, and voluntarily desilt our choke drains. It is in our best interest to do. The 3 ministries and metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies will lead this voluntary national exercise. Our president is not inert. Ghanaians must not be inert. Let us contain the imminent floods now. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I finished. I should use the hand sanitizer. Okay. I'm grateful to you.
That's it. Yes, please. Thank you. Honorable Minister, we're grateful for that advisory that you share with us this afternoon. Colleagues, there are about 3 more parts of our brief that we will take this afternoon. As I mentioned, it's got to do with surveillance and case management. Our colleagues from the Ghana Health Service are going to join us and do that for us shortly. We will also briefly spend some time talking about the economy, health, and then specifically, or as part of that, the 88 district hospitals that His Excellency the President has given a policy directive should be worked on effective this year. The Honorable Minister responsible for health will join me with that one. But before we do that, I want to invite the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana. I understand you are here, CIMG. The rep may just come to my right. May I ask the Advertising Association of Ghana to be on standby? You will come after the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana to make a presentation. Honorable Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, you want to do us the honors? Please join us to receive this. Later, the Minister responsible for Health will receive some more. So please join. Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, what do you have for us?
Honorable Minister, we represent CIMG. We have mobilized our members as individuals to contribute 40,000 Ghana cedis. We have also mobilized some local manufacturers, Tasapreto, Bell Aqua, and Famanova, give us sanitizers, water, and essential medications. Honorable Minister, our little contribution is for us to discourage donors from presenting dispatches that they involve a lot of touching. We, as of this morning, have instructed our bankers to transfer the 40,000. This is the transfer advice. Thank you.
Thank you. So CIMG has transferred 40,000 Ghana cedis into the COVID-19 relief fund. They've also made available some items in kind, including hand sanitizers, etc. Any specific requests where you want these hand sanitizers, etc. to go?
We're going to at the discretion of the COVID-19 fund.
Very well. Very well. So that's at the discretion of the COVID-19 fund for them to utilize. Thank you so much, CIMG. Thank you so much for your contribution. Honorable Deputy Minister, stay with me. Advertising Association of Ghana. Advertising Association of Ghana, what do you have for us, sir?
Yes, sir. Honorable Minister, we developed a campaign strategy to help in the public education. We have also donated 50 billboards across the city, which valued at 900,000 Ghana cedis.
50 billboards to the tune of 900,000 Ghana cedis.
The pictures are here.
So, Advertising Association of Ghana is flighting a number of billboards to the tune of 900,000 Ghana cedis, about 50 of them, and they would like to notify us of that. Very grateful for your contribution. Thank you.
We also have a cost plan.
Attached to it. Thank you very, 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 very much. Advertising Association of Ghana. May our colleagues at the back please take the write-up of the presentation so that we can leave it and articulate it on their behalf. They don't need to speak on the sites. We articulate it on their behalf. Honorable Minister, thank you. Before we deal with the matters of surveillance and case management, we'll talk about healthcare infrastructure, the work that has been going on, and what remains to be done. On Sunday, His Excellency the President announced a policy objective to contract 88 district hospitals in the districts without government hospitals. Additionally, he announced that building of the hospital's 6 new regions is to commence with dispatch aligned to this new policy directive that he has given. A further 3 infectious disease centers are to be built in the 3 belts of the country. The President has tasked the Ministry of Health, supported by the Ministry of Finance, to flesh out the details, to have the details approved and announced later to the entire country. Subsequent to the President's announcement, there have been about 3 major questions that have come. And as is customary, we believe that it is important to respond to these questions in the interest of good governance. One of the first major questions that we have received is whether or not Ghana's economy today is resilient enough to afford the COVID-19 interventions, including the 88 hospitals that the President has given the policy directive to be built. Another question is whether or not this new policy directive by the President means that work on ongoing and uncompleted health infrastructure is to be abandoned. I will take the first on the economy. I'd like the Honorable Minister for Health to respond to whether or not this means that ongoing and uncompleted health infrastructure is to be abandoned. And finally, one of the questions that keeps coming every now and then is when will the fleshed out details of this policy directive be outlined to the Ghanaian public? So 3 quick questions we need to answer on health infrastructure. Now, the government is of the view that it takes resources to fight a war like the one we are involved in. It takes a resilient economy to mobilize resources to fight to win a successful war. Ghana's ability to introduce the various interventions so far, which have been helpful, are as a result of our resilient economy today. Our current economic position is a major reason for which we are able to marshal the resources to execute a good number of the interventions that we are introducing today. Moving on, the state of the Ghanaian economy will be key in our ability to introduce the necessary interventions which will help win the battles ahead of us in this war. As a former World Bank Vice President for Africa, Obi Ezekwesili, recently mentioned at a World Economic Forum Africa Working Group meeting, health is the economy and the economy is health. The major steps that we have taken today in our 5-part strategy, which we often outline here, are based on our ability to afford the recommendations by the President's advisory and coordinating teams. And while we are grateful to them for the advice, we are also grateful to have the ability to afford these interventions. We believe that it makes sense why some may question whether or not Ghana can afford all of these interventions, including these 88 district hospitals. The question is justified because looking at our recent economic position and the gains made recently as a nation, there's genuine fear by some that we may not be able to afford these interventions, or even if we're able to afford it today, we may end up overstringing our books and get back to where we were some time back. Government believes that the concerns and questions are born out of our collective recollection that about some 5-6 years ago, even without a global crisis, Ghana's internal economy faced significant challenges, mostly due to unbridled consumption expenditure, leading to a major compromise of our fiscal position and the huge deficits we recorded at the time. The consequence was the need to rush, as I'm sure you would recall, for a financial bailout from the IMF to close to $1 billion. The fund, we would recall, in exchange for the monies advanced at the time, imposed severe conditionalities, including restrictions on public sector recruitment, curtailment on social spending, and a curtailment of programs to alleviate the plight of the poor and vulnerable. Tough targets, as we all recall, were imposed on Ghana in an effort to bring us back on track. Painful and tough measures, many of which, though followed, did not even necessarily mean that we met the set targets. Indeed, the energy crisis, which was also a product of a weak economy at the time, meant that not only were ordinary citizens discomforted, many businesses collapsed, leading to severe challenges on the nation's fiscal position. The effect is that critical investment in infrastructure, including health infrastructure, could not be afforded, paid for, even when contracts were awarded. So it makes sense that some begin to worry or question whether or not the economy is resilient enough today to afford the whole plethora of things that we are doing, including these 88 district hospitals that the President has instructed should be put up. It makes sense. Now, you would recall that between January 2017 and now, however, Ghana has made major strides in correcting the precarious economic conditions that we found ourselves in. Our fiscal position has improved. Our macro position has even more significantly improved. The combined effect of the improved macro and fiscal positions is what enables us today to afford the interventions which have been introduced as part of the COVID-19 response program. significantly improved national revenues. We have trimmed down our deficit, and it has yielded a resilient fiscal position against which we're able to finance interventions that we talk about in the last 8 weeks or so. And just to recap these interventions, about $100 million preparatory program, which is what allowed us to build screening stations at our borders, mandatorily quarantine travelers, commence the provision of PPEs locally and equipment as well for the battle, and ramp up our testing abilities to provide direction for the battles that we are involved in. About a 1.2 billion Ghana cedi coronavirus alleviation package, which provided us room to support a significant chunk of the poor and vulnerable during the lockdowns of Accra and Kumasi, which also includes some 600 million Ghana cedis worth of soft loans for SMEs that have been badly hit. That is to start in the coming week. About 200 million Ghana cedis of free water to citizens, financed on the back of this improved and resilient economy. About 6 billion Ghana cedis advanced, injected into Ghana's budget for this year 2020. 1 billion of which is paying for the free electricity for citizens for 3 months. 5 billion of which will shore up revenues owing to the suspended economic activity in parts of the country at a point in time, as well as a stimulus to the sectors that are being hardly hit. You will note that the advance from the IMF is without conditionalities. It enjoys a moratorium. It will be paid back from proceeds of economic activity once this crisis is over. So indeed, it is due to the resilience of the economy that we are able to afford to take on even double what we had initially estimated to about $500 million from the fund. Additionally, the economy is able to afford tax cuts for health workers, allowances for contact tracers, as well as a 50% basic salary top-up for frontline health workers. The economy has ramped up to the extent that a lot of private organizations are also now in a position to make significant contributions to the COVID-19 relief fund. So while there's genuine worry about whether or not our economy, which was until recently unable to afford allowances to even health students, or keep lights on, or which needed bailout to pay salaries, while there are genuine questions about whether or not it can afford and sustain these bold measures, it bears repeating. The progress that we have collectively made as a people in bringing our economy from the doldrums is a major reason for which we can afford these interventions today. We have come far as a nation, recovering from our recent challenges to a point where we can take these bold measures and now even begin to have a conversation about 88 district hospitals at a go. As I mentioned earlier, the President has asked his ministers for health and finance to flesh out the details, and they would outline those details to us in due course. But does this new policy direction of 88 new district hospitals mean that work on ongoing health infrastructure is to be abandoned, as some fear? Does it mean that work on ongoing infrastructure is to be halted, as some fear? I want to invite the Honorable Minister responsible for health, the Honorable Kwekwaji Mamenu, to give us an update on the progress of work on health infrastructure as we contextualize this conversation some more. Honorable Minister, please join me.
Thank you, Kojo. In the principle of continuity, government, after assuming office on the 7th of January 2017, has never abandoned any health facility that was started by the previous government. Now, to re-emphasize, that government has never abandoned any health facility that was started before assumption of office in 2017. But I want to recount
So the projects that we came to meet that were not completed, which we have taken time and resources to complete. I will start from the construction and equipping of 10 clinics in the central region. These were located in towns like Bisiase, Gumwa de Rampon, Briwa, Etsi Sunkwa, Bimpon Ija, Jamra, Mankron, Akumfude, Ekumfi Nakwa, and Gumwa. These were started in 2016. They were scheduled to complete in 2018, and I'm glad to inform the nation that I myself had gone around to commission all these projects as we speak. They were done sometime late 2018. There was a big case detention program that we inherited. Installation of equipment had also been completed as at August 2018. Tamale Teaching Hospital was going through the rehabilitation and upgrade of the hospital. These two had been completed before we came into office. The phase 2 started in July 2015, was supposed to be completed in December 2018. And I can say with confidence that this project has also been completed, and I went to commission this project. Construction and equipping of 597-bed University of Ghana Teaching Hospital, that is University of Ghana Medical Center. When I came in, there was some controversy about whether phase 1 had been completed or not. I did a briefing here, was misquoted. We had completed phase 1, and as I speak, phase 2 is getting close to completion. The hospital has been operationalized to the extent of getting services being provided close to about 70% operationalization. We anticipate to complete the entire facility and operationalize fully by October this year. Construction of offices for Ministry of Health quarters. We inherited the project. We did some modification to it, and that too has been completed fully, and we relocated our offices from the ministries close to the health insurance office in Ridge. That is where the Ministry of Health is now located. There's a program to expand the radiotherapy and nuclear medicine services at Kolebu and Konfanti. That had been abandoned before we assumed office. I visited Konfanochi, I visited Kolebu, and there was a facility that had been arranged to the Ministry of Finance. There were problems. They couldn't access the funds, the project halted. We have managed to clear the challenges that we had with the project implementation, and as I speak, work is ongoing on these two projects. And I want to believe that by the close of the year, you will have commissioned these two projects. Construction of 2 regional and 6 district hospitals by Europe. These were projects that were designed. Loans were looked for during the time of President Kufuor. Work actually started on some of the sites. Between 2009 and 2016, none of these 8 projects got completed. There were challenges. When we assumed office, we had to engage with the contractor. I speak. We have commissioned the Wa Regional Hospital. It is in use at the moment. We had completed the East District Hospital. That is where we have fixed as the major treatment center to fight the COVID pandemic. that has become a major treatment center. All other sites like Fifupraso, Konongo, Odumasi, Nsoko, Tepa, and Salah are seeing progress. And anybody who wants to doubt this can visit these locations and you see work ongoing. We're expected to actually complete and commission Tepa and Nsoko by close of June. The rest completed around October or November. Work seriously ongoing. Construction of 7 district hospitals and integrated IT systems in Ghana. These were located in Doha, Fomina, Kumawu, Abitifin, Garu-Timpani, Sekendi, and Takrady. As early as first quarter 2017, I wrote a letter to the Finance Minister to actually renew the expired LC to enable the contractor access funding to work on projects. There were other challenges with it. The previous government, for some reason, refused to renew the LC to enable the contractor access funding as far back as July 2016. So the projects were abandoned before we assumed office. The only one out of the 7 that have been completed and in use was the Dodoa project. Others were at various stages of completion. Over the last 3 years, I have had sleep nights with the contractor who was supposed to do the projects. I've written more than 5 letters. We have engaged and met several occasions. Promises upon promises will make me go and tell the public that a contractor is ready and is mobilizing to site in the next 2 weeks. That never happened. The Minister of Finance insisted on the value for money audit to check on how much money had been spent on the project. Because on assessment, you could realize that if you compare money left sitting down as balance in the account and work left undone, you could easily see that the money couldn't complete the projects. So there was a need for some audit to be done. That audit took some time because of documentation that the auditors needed, and the contractor had unwillingness to actually submit these documents in good time. When the report was submitted, we were advised to determine the contract. There were issues in it. I went back to finance to insist that terminating the contract will mean another 6 months to be able to do the litigation issues and re-awarding. But we wanted the project to complete. So they should allow us to go ahead and allow the contractor to work whilst we talked on the site to resolve issues that had come up in the report. I got a hearing. We submitted all documentation to the Attorney General's office for advice. They asked us to engage the contractor to do 3 of the projects that had advanced in relation to works to be done. And the rest, we should sit down there, and whilst they come on site to complete the 3, we talk about these. The contractor assured us we'll be moving to site. We were demanding things to be done. The initial thing was him to mobilize to site to look at dilapidation assessment. That was done, got a report, sat down with it, we agreed on what we should do. He guessed how much we need to complete the work. On our assessment, we also give an estimate. So it's like we were not agreeing at one stage. Even that, we insisted and asked him to come and start work whilst we talk about the difference that was sitting between the two parties. We didn't get any serious hearing from the contractor. We asked him to give us bills of quantities to completion. After some time, he sent us a note that he couldn't submit the bills of quantities. And that, because we wanted to complete the projects, we said to the contractor to mobilize to site, and once there, we together will assess and get the proper bills of quantities to guide it in project implementation. In course of this, after waiting, and not hearing any good news from the contractor, I wrote a letter to signal a notice of intent to determine the contract. The response that came wasn't very good to us. That meaning we didn't have any other option than to write to Attorney General's office for advice to determine the contract. We are waiting for the last meeting at the EMT for us to know where we should go. But we have decided to actually determine the contract, look for another contractor who has capacity to come in to do the work for us as quickly as possible. And we believe if we're able to jump this hurdle, we might complete these full two projects before the end of the year. So nothing has been abandoned. I've talked about University of Ghana Medical Center Phase 2, which is virtually completed, and some operationalization is there. The intensive care unit of that place has been dedicated as a treatment center for COVID patients. And as I speak, there are people in there receiving treatment in that place. Construction of 5 district hospitals in Sola, Tonsumenya, Bupe, and Weta, and the polyclinic in Amboy. All these projects are going. The contractor is seriously on site, and they are keen to complete for us. Overall, the projects between 45 to 65% completion. I have visited Weta, and I know what is there, and I know what I'm talking about. Weta is in Volta region. Construction of 5 and upgrading of 1 public health facilities in the western region. Akontomra, Elubu, Bogoso, Mpoho, Nsayem, Wasadunkwa. I did the sword cutting for 5 of these projects sometime last year. There were a little bit of problems, the contractor and the funding agency, but as I speak, all the contracts, the subcontractors are on site, they are mobilized, and work is actually progressing without any serious challenges any longer. Completion of the equipment of Bekwai District Hospital. This was a project that was started at Kwame Nkrumah post-independence. There were challenges. So government at the time abandoned that place. President Kufuor's time, that place was picked up to do Takwa and, what's that place that we did the other one? Is it Takwa? Yes. Takwa and Bekwai. Unfortunately, Takwa got completed, but after Kufuor's exit, Bekwai was again abandoned. 2017, we started working on how we can get Bekwai. There were a bit of problems, but we managed to resolve the problems. And last 2019, I went personally to commission, cut the salt to raise at Bekwai. We are getting close to completion. And last week, when the president met the Ghana Medical Association, fortunately for us, the vice president of the association is now the medical superintendent of the Bekwai Hospital. He said to us confidently that some places have been included to the extent that we can use 1 block as a treatment center to fight the COVID battle. So we are fixing a place now to dedicate it as a treatment center to add on the few places we have in Ashanti region. So, of course, ordination and equipment of 4 selected facilities, these are all in Eastern region. Tete Kwashi Memorial Hospital, Chebi District Hospital, Aburi, and Atibie Hospitals. Again, I went to do the sword cutting for all these projects. The contractor is on site, on all 4 sites, and work is progressing steadily. We have managed to actually start to complete 15 ship compounds in the first instance, located in different parts of the country. Then another package of 26 ship compounds. We're expecting that all these 16 plus 26 will be commissioned this year for use. Apart from these, when we realized that we are about completing all works that were ongoing before we started working, apart from the chip compound that we have done. We have rescheduled the rehabilitation of Bolga Regional Hospital 2. And was it last 3 weeks or so? We completed all arrangements and the contractor has mobilized to site to complete that work. We are in the process of completing procurement processes for equipment to be brought to actually complete the WA Regional Hospital Phase 2. Completion and equipping of Komfanoche Teaching Hospital, Maternity and Children's Block. This place has left undone for close to 40 years. We have now completed almost every exercise. Immediately, restrictions on gathering, public gathering, is removed. We will see sword cutting and Fanoche to actually begin to complete the old time maternity work that have been left undone over several years. We have scheduled and got parliamentary approval. As I speak today, we are negotiating on the value for money report with the contractor, and soon we will mobilize, contractor will mobilize for us to do sword cutting to start construction of Koforidua Regional Hospital. We have scheduled to do district hospitals at Owasi, a trauma hospital at Enyinem, and rehabilitation of the NUNC government hospital. This is part of our program this year and next year. We've also got parliamentary approval, and we are about finishing details that we can do to enable contractors that have been selected with funding to go to do Shama Hospital project and General Hospital. Whoever passes on the beach road, if you see La General Hospital on the right side, just be a little bit inquisitive and go in there and look at what is sitting there as a general hospital. Structurally, that place shouldn't be habitated. Engineers have given us indication that that place can come down any day. So we took a bold step to try to change the face of that place. The medical superintendent there has been relocated to Ga East. So that place is virtually going to be empty to enable us pull down and build an holding high-rise hospital facility at that same grounds. Because of space, we can only build into the sky. All arrangements have been done, cabinet has approved, parliament has approved. We are now working with the contractor to actually begin implementation. We have again scheduled to construct a urology and nephrology center of excellence at Kolebu Hospital. Again, we've got cabinet and parliamentary approval. We are just tying knots to enable the contractor to site. This will complete in 2022. Again, we have scheduled and got parliamentary and cabinet approvals to do the completion of a new 330 beds maternity block at in 2022. Tema General Hospital has been scheduled for a new look. So we're going to construct Tema General Hospital as well as central medical stores and the rehabilitation of 2 district hospitals at Nkranza and Ma. We have also got cabinet and parliamentary approvals to do 12 hospitals in Eastern Ashanti, Ahafo, and Greater Accra. Places like Jumapo, Kwabeng, Nkweta, Adukrum, Achiasi, Suame, Drobonso, Sonum, Manson Kwanta, Kredie, Mem, Ponkatamanso. We've got approvals, sources of funding ready. We are only waiting to complete documentation to board the contractor, move to sites to do all this project. We are working to source funding now to do Rage Phase 2 to give the place the look that it needs to have. Contractor has already been selected, tying knots to get documentation to go to cabinet for approval, and again we'll follow up to Parliament. We have also selected to do the 2 district hospitals, even before the President's announcement. When we got indication of an allocation or some part of the Sino Hydro facility that government was arranging to take. So we listed 22 districts with hospitals to do. If they are completed all arrangements and engagement with the Sino Hydro project, by now, 22 district hospitals will have been started. So the plant is not talking out of nothing. We needed to complete what we came to meet. Once we planned to do our own, we couldn't have left all the 10 in East Central, 5 in Greater Accra, about 4 in Ashanti, and some other places. But when we worked and realized that, yes, we have done a lot, we also need to leave legacy. We started going into our own area. And if you have listened very carefully at what I have done, it's a clear indication that the President has a vision and the government has none. So now that he has mentioned the entire 88, how did he come by the 88? We were working already, but on the quiet. And with the outbreak of this pandemic, the President also charged us to start looking at treatment centers across the country for infectious diseases. Even there, we have awarded some contracts that I may start visiting for Ghanaians, our people, to see how the President thinks and what instructions he gives us and how we also work with these instructions. So we are working on getting comprehensive pain centers in places like Sewua, Zebila, Pantan, Dodua, and Asanrienso, Goso, Cape Coast, Kolebu Teaching Hospital again. That has actually started. And 2 small facilities, 1 good one in Kolebu, and the previous unit rehabilitation again in Kolebu. Takoradi, Nalerugu, and Sunyani as well. So these are things that will make us strengthen some part of our system. But if we have got all this complement of infrastructure coming, I think the President should have confidence to announce to the nation that is going to do 88 hospitals. We knew what was there already. And he can't think that we go through this pandemic and our health system will continue to be as we sit here. So that is his vision. We have been exposed. If we thought that we had the health system that's situated to save us, the pandemic has given us challenges. And we could see that there is a need for the president as the government to do something more than what we have done in the past. That is the situation. And now that the president has spoken, the rest of us don't have much options than to go ahead to do what he wants us to do. My good friend, the Minister for Information, was talking about the economy and its resilience. I'm hearing nuances on radio and television about it wasn't in the budget. But COVID was not in the budget. That is correct. But all of a sudden, we've managed to buy PPEs. We've managed to award a few contract treatment centers. We've managed to quarantine people, initially 1,030 for 2 good weeks in good hotel Accra. And we have paid for all of them. To the extent that one foreigner sits in one of the hotel rooms using selfie, telling his people back home that Ghana, come and see where I'm living. A big 3-4 plus hotel, star hotel, to be paid for by the state. There's a lot that we have done over the last few months. All these expenditures were not in the budget. But when my colleague, the finance minister, went to Parliament to seek approval for the 1 billion facility from the IMF, he mentioned that this money is supposed to support lost revenues and additional COVID-19 expenditures. So there is hope. And if you dream or you don't dream big, God doesn't bless you to do big things. Thank you very much.
So, Honorable Minister responsible for health, thank you for that update on ongoing health infrastructure. In summary, it's important to know that the conversation of our ability to fund healthcare interventions is a function of the economy. Just as a strong economy has enabled us to afford today's interventions, it enables us to finally pay for work commenced on some outstanding infrastructure. More importantly, it enables us to take up boldly and complete the outstanding gaps in district health infrastructure. The common denominator here is a strong economy. And on a note, if I may use a simple analogy, you need a strong economy to buy a ventilator to keep it running. If a weak economy that can't keep the lights on, you will not be able to afford a ventilator, let alone keep it functioning to save lives. We are far as a country, on a more serious note, building a strong economic base, helping us to fund all that we are doing, and it's our expectation that when the team outlines the details of it, we will all appreciate the kind of work they have done. I want to invite the Ghana Health Service to join us up here to speak to us on case management. Colleagues in the media, we will make available copies of the Honorable Minister's presentation to you. But I want to call on the Ghana Health Service to talk to us about surveillance and case count. Just ahead of that, of the Ghana Association of Private Schools. Ghana Association of Private Schools, are you here? I do understand that you have a presentation to make a check of 50,000 Ghana cedis that you're making to COVID-19 Relief Fund. Ghana Association of Private Schools, grateful to you. Honorable Minister responsible for health, may please ask you to rise right here and join me and receive that. A check 50,000 Ghana cedis from the Ghana Association of Private Schools. They will be followed by the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana. They also have a check for 100,000 Ghana cedis. Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana, please stand by with your check of 100,000 Ghana cedis. Thank you very much for this presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pharmaceutical manufacturers, please join us with your check of 100,000 Ghana cedis. The Honorable Minister will receive that, even as Dr. Patrick Abwaje of the Ghana Health Service is getting ready to join me up here with a presentation on surveillance case count. Thank you very much for that presentation. Honorable Minister, thank you. You may resume your seat. Dr. Wade, Surveillance and Case Management, please join us. You can give it to our team. Doc.
Good afternoon. Honorable Minister of Health, Honorable Minister of Housing, and Honorable Minister of Information, and all other protocols observed. My job is very simple, just give our status as far as the cases are concerned. As of this morning, the final count that we have is that we have 1,171 cases. This 563 has come from general surveillance. It is those who fall ill and approach the hospital and they are tested. 105 still remains part of the earlier quarantine, 10 from the quarantine in Tamale, and those we had from the enhanced tracing. That is the group that we actually went out to look for. We found 1,113, bringing our total to 1,671. Currently, about 1,461 are well or no symptoms and are responding very well to treatment. We have about 6 who are moderately to critically ill, 2 at UGMC, 3 in Ghana East, and 1 in Kolebu as we speak today. All the other parts of the country, we do not have any critical case there. For recoveries, we have recorded 188 of all these people have recovered. And we are hoping that there are more waiting for discharge, awaiting their second test to be discharged. On the areas of those who are positive and are not in facility, we have about 237 currently in isolation centers across the country. About 174 are in Accra, I would say, are in some border between Central Region and Greater Accra. None of them are from Central Region, the rest are all from Greater Accra. We have 50 in Eastern Region, 9 quarantine in Kumasi, and we still have 5 in isolation in Tamale. When it comes to the case count in the regions, as now we have 8 cases in our west. The number of cases in our east has increased to 18, and they are all contacts of the earlier cases that were described. Northern region has 13 cases. Mind you, about 10 of them are all from the quarantine that was earlier identified. OT has 17 cases. About 13 of them were also from the quarantine of people who were passing through the region. Volta has 11 cases. Eastern region has 57 cases, all from a containment, an area, all in them. We have very few isolated cases. The rest are all in a group. Ashanti region has 84 cases from both surveillance, normal surveillance and enhanced surveillance. Central region has 18 cases. Western has none, and Western also has 1 case. So far, there are about 4 regions who have not reported any case. That's the fact that they are doing active surveillance. That is Savannah, Bono East, Bono, and Ahafo regions. Mr. Minister, this is a brief that I have as far as the case count and case management is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a few housekeeping notes as we get ready to take your questions. To avoid a mixed schedules, we want to announce this afternoon a couple of things. One, the briefings here at the Ministry of Information are being scheduled permanently for Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. And we'll do our best to stick by the time. We want to particularly ask all our colleagues who are part of that briefing that 9 a.m. means 9 a.m. so that we get here ahead of time, because if the whole nation is watching, we want to be on time. So our colleagues who are part of it, we want to crave your indulgence. 9 a.m. means 9 a.m. Tuesdays, Thursdays. That's number one. Number two, the local language versions of the President's addresses and the National Information sessions, about 13 local languages, are available on the Ministry of Information's Facebook page. About 13 local languages. We want to ask media across the country, pick whichever is relevant for your local market and do well to help spread the word there. About 13 local languages. They're all available on the Ministry of Information's Facebook handle. At this juncture, for those who have questions, please show by hand and step forward. We'll take them in batches of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, sir. Then we'll come for the second batch. Social distancing observed. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Joseph Akabla. I work with Joy News. The first question, I realized that you relied on the gains made in the economy since 2017, as well as what has been done with regards to the COVID support programs to citizens as a basis to say that the economic afford what the president intends to do. I want to ask whether we should not be looking at figures first and foremost as to how much these programs will be costing. So I want to find out whether we've put at least an initial figure to it even before we get there.
You are talking about the 88 hospitals.
88 district hospitals, yes.
I think it's understood. You know that our presentation has been about the whole gamut of interventions.
Yes.
So you're talking about the 88 specific.
Hospitals.
We'll
How
get to
much
the
are
answer.
we
So
looking at?
figures for the 88.
Yes. The other issue relates to the case count. I realize that for some of the regions, the numbers remain the same. And I'm just asking generally because of reports of people who were tested positive, who had escaped mandate quarantine or who had been asked to isolate, who had refused. But we've not received any confirmation from the health service that those people have been found.
So you are asking whether they are included in the numbers as have been presented, or they are not included
or they are
in
not
the numbers?
included, because if you have 10 in a region and 1 is on the run, obviously keeping a number at 10, I'm not too sure, or whether indeed.
No, but then that means your case count is 10.
Yes, and so I'm asking that they have been found yet, or we are still after.
Okay, no, so let me see if I understand. Your question is that for those who are reported to have escaped, have they been found yet?
The question,
Or is your question that
The question
are
is
they
whether
included
have
in
been
this
found.
one?
Whether they have been.
Okay, so Ghana Health Service have those, and what are those who've escaped? Which one are you talking about?
The northern region, and also.
Okay. This is the one Guinean lady, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And also in Accra, we reported a Fadama incident. There were 2 people. One was apprehended. The other is also. The last report we put out was that the person still on the run.
Okay, so the Guinean lady and 2 from Fadam, have they been taken in? Are they part of those you have in your containment system?
Yes.
You give a provider.
And just a final one for the Works and Housing Minister. I mean, the other briefing we had, there's a bit of a support program like electricity and water. Other places, in fact, we've heard some landlords who have gone a step further to give some free means of accommodation to their tenants because of the situation we find ourselves in. I want to find out whether ministry and government, for that matter, is considering such a support program, possibly one that will be specially tailored for the Ghanaian
support program on rent.
On rent, because there are people who are saying they're not working, but their rent is due and they need some help.
Yeah, I think it's understood. Honorable Minister, are you considering a support program on rent? We'll come to you to give us an answer.
And finally, he talked about the foreigners and advising that you shouldn't rent out facilities unless you are sure that they are COVID-free. I'm asking about how about Ghanaians as well, because the statistics we have currently actually shows that community spreading is more than the imported cases that we have.
So I'll come to you to respond to that. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Selo Amenya. I work with TV3. I would want to start with the health minister. He said that no project has been abandoned, but I wanted to find out about the police hospital. Since 2016, We've seen anything ongoing.
You mean
there.
police hospital in Accra?
Yes, in Accra.
You are suggesting since 2016?
Yes, we've not seen any works being done there.
Are you sure?
If you can update us on that.
No work on police hospital in Accra since 2016?
Yes. And also, we've been asked to wear face masks for good reason. I want to know what is the implementing plan. Are we also going to see a task force in town ensuring that everybody, because we still have people roaming in town.
So how do we plan to enforce the order on face masks?
Yes.
Thank you. May I ask that we keep the questions snapped so that we can quickly. So how will we enforce the orders on face masks? Next one.
I'm Kujajman, CTTV.
Hi, Kujo, let's hear you.
I have 3 sets of questions for the Works and Housing Minister and then 3 for the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. Works and Housing Minister, when you were giving the amount of money we've spent on flood control programs and drainage works, when you got 2016, you said 12 million was spent, right? 12 million Ghana cedis. 227. Okay. 2016. And then you said that 136 million for 2017 for the, so what accounted for that huge jump from the 2016 figure and the 2017? And also, how will the ministry ensure that landlords adhere to these measures you have put in place? And my last question would be for the residents around Dansoman Beach area and then Glife. The sea defense jet exercise there has been stalled. I mean, we are in COVID-19 era. What is being done to make sure that project comes back on stream? For the health director, the Ghana Health Service Director, please, any new deaths? And then how much were the other time that we have 18,000 backlogs more? We tested, have we been able to overcome this backlog of testing exercise? And then there are some discrepancies between the regional results that we are getting on the website. For example, the Bolga, regional, the data from Bolga did not correspond with the one on the Ghana Services website.
When you say data from Bolga, help us a bit. What do you mean?
In terms of the information management data, yesterday the health director there issued a statement, and the numbers in there did not correspond with what was on the Ghana Health Service website.
So there's a discrepancy
Yes.
between the
Regional-
a statement issued by the regional health director
Yes.
and what is reported on the national website.
Please.
Okay, so that's a specific instance.
Yes, please.
Bolga, you say?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, Bolga and Accra difference. Please make a note of it. Final one. Yeah, Kwame too.
Africa. My son Bisano, our health minister, no. Person me bisa question on if compound. Be busumi you know me koya story wo dome sampeman e wa masaman. Chief compound bi a o mampani kufu abe so me 2000. Me no ka say
2000.
me no ka say empire na agi da
Pachoko echi. What's the chips compound be a?
o mampani si no 2000 no see. The year 2000 no see. Me no ka say empire na agi edan mu afa. Be busumi no na me koya sa story no. After maybe some questions or a general hospital.
There is a question no. Trying to know kakra. Chips compound be a no 2000. Sabri abandoned.
Okay. Empire na agi.
Ewo infa.
Dome sampeman. Amasaman.
Okay.
La general hospital. Bese mi bisa ono aka bi parliament approve funding. Bese mi ta say funding no say no mo de ehiem na ebe wie da ben. Afi Eugene University of Ghana hospital. No o kire bibi say omu gusa ka phase 1 on be wie. Na say sika na
o ka phase 1 no. I'm say phase 2 no kind of. Okay. Because phase 1 there's so many.
Also ka phase 2. Na then na phase 2 no omu hwe na enwi ansa abana sa e de nsa kan different project bi am.
Because say phase 2 of UGMC no yenwie ya abon any sort nsa can be before.
I think senka no enwi ansa na e
abana de nsa can be before.
Different project bi so.
That's it. Okay, Minister, I will come to you to respond to that. Health Minister, please be on standby. Ghana Health Service, be on. Works and Housing, please be on standby. Ghana Health Service. Before I come to Health Minister, so give me a few minutes. Let me respond to the first question. So I'm sure you heard us make the point that a strong economy, a resilient economy is a foundation for affording all the interventions that we've been talking about. The ones that we have done, which we have paid for, that we are paying for, the ones that we have been tasked to work on, the common denominator is a strong and a resilient economy. If you don't have it, you can't even afford all of these things. And what we are saying is that it is because of the improved nature of the economy. That's how come you've managed to afford all the things we've done so far. Same denominator is what will go for what is outstanding by the time they are done with their calibrations and giving us that figure. You recall that we have seen that the president has tasked them to complete or to sync the 22 and the rest he was talking about with the broader envelope of 80 and advise the entire country. What we are saying is that the reason for which you have confidence that all of that which we started about 8 weeks ago till then is affordable is because we have a strong and a resilient economy that has improved from where we all collectively were at a particular point in time. And when they are done with these numbers, what is outstanding, they would also let us know. Minister of Works and Housing, come, let's take yours out of the way, and then we'll deal with Ghana Health Service and Health Ministry.
Let me attempt to answer the question relating to rent support. And clearly that's the voice of former President Mahama, that we should try and look into situations of giving rent support to those who are without any good place of abode. I want to refer to the 2020 budget. If you pay regard to paragraph 12, and I'd like to read, Mr. Speaker, if you add the cost of cleaning, if you add the cost of cleaning, the financial sector challenges to the long list of legacy bills that the Akufo-Addo government had to settle, the cost to the Ghanaian payer is around 33 billion Ghana. So you can see that is all financial base. The debt was 33 billion. You know, the president has had to deal with the situation because he has a very large heart and a generous heart. So free water, some people will take it for granted. There's a cost implication. Electricity, you could see we couldn't go the full hog of making electricity free because of the high cost of generating electricity. And if somebody push that people who have no place to live, as a direct result of the COVID-19 challenges, should have their rent paid, we should be able to absorb it. We have the financial space. But the first instance is that report any landlord, and for that matter, a landlady, who want to exploit these circumstances to the rent control offices, and they'll be dealt with. So I have not heard of a wholesale eviction of tenants, which will warrant that we should immediately come to their aid. If there is any situation like that, we'll get a feedback from the rent control offices and we'll handle it. But let's see if there are numbers like that. We shouldn't just wave our hands and say that we should pay for the rents of people who are suffering as a result of the COVID-19 challenges. But if we see the numbers, we'll see what we can do. But it's all as a direct result of what we can do given the financial space. So that is the first question. The second question was a bit complicated. We were trying to compare the allotment for flood control challenges and concrete lining challenge of 2016 and 2017. I think I gave the figures and I was a bit concerned what was he trying to communicate. I couldn't get the import of the question. But if you want to have the figures again, can I have the figure? I'll give it to you. So, let me take it. Yes. The figures are here. Relating to National Flood Control Program and other drainage projects for 2016, the sum of 12,271,558 Ghana was spent. If you want to know what was spent in 2017, it's in the sum of 8,136 and then 18.41 Ghana cedis. And if you want to know the biggest boost in that area, is what happened in 2018, 220,584,188.69. My attention has been brought to the fact that the sea defense undertaking at Dansman is going through challenges. We have called the contractor to come over for it to resolve it. Immediately we get answers, we put it across as to what is accounting for the challenges. And I think these are the few questions that have been, yes, that have to solve. Yeah.
Very well. Ghana Health Service. Yeah, so Ghana Health Service, please join us.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. I think I'll take the first thing. That is the number. You see, the 1,671, as you see, includes the first case that was reported on the 11th of March. So whether you are in the hospital, you have recovered, you are in isolation, and as you claim have run away, you are part of that list. You remain the same in the very thing where the case was identified. So everything we are talking about is all who have tested positive irrespective of the outcome. In the issue of the Bolga, I didn't hear the Bolga regional director make any statement. But remember, the website is yet to be updated. There are processes of validating report. I'm sure as journalists, when you file your report, you send it to your editor, isn't it? So these processes are done to validate the report before it's published on the website. Is there a repeat test? Is it confirmed, etc. before we put there? So what you should focus yourself is about the what appears finally on the website. The Fadama case, I'm aware they've been found, and those in Tamale, they've also been found, and they are all in care. The backlog, yes, we still have some backlog, but as you can see, we've done almost 6,000 in a day. And we have not stopped sample collection. But we are working towards reducing the number of days that the gap log, and there are plans to upscale our lab system, both in terms of the capacity of the individual labs and expanding new labs, creating new labs to be able to us to catch up. And that includes the backlog. I don't know whether the Minister of Health will answer the face mask, but let me ask. Let me try. I think we have used a lot of communication to explain to everybody the importance of wearing a face mask. And I believe that a significant number of people are applying. We're going to have to come up with audio and video clips that shows people exactly how to wear, how to remove, and how to maintain, and making sure that your mask covers your nose. So we are going to do all that, and I believe that the good people of Ghana will do that, follow. In countries where it's law, the enforcement is, I'm sure if it becomes law, if it's necessary, the necessary actions will be done. But for now, it's a ministerial directive, and I'm happy that a lot of people are not only wearing it, but also making some business out of it to make sure everybody has access to glass. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, there's been 5 new reported deaths. We are in the process of validating the the source, and that is why we've not mentioned them. Some were dead on arrival among others. So we are validating. As soon as we do that, it will appear on the website, and everybody will know exactly where they have also come from. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The cost of the 88 hospitals. We are at early stages of reviewing our designs to fit purpose. And when that has not been completed, we can't do quantities. So I hope with the nation to wait a little bit. It won't take long. The cost come out. We haven't completed that process yet. The police hospital in Accra. I've been explaining and talking, and it's like nobody is hearing me. We have about 5 different health service providers in this country. 2 big categories of public and private. So we have private sector people, those who have established their own hospitals. They are private. They have an association, and we work with them as one health service provider. We have what we call quasi-government institutions. So government organizations like Cocoa Board, Ports and Harbors, Bank of Ghana, the military are different, the security group. So the SNET, these are government institutions, but they own their own hospitals. Oversight is by their boards. It is a department in the organization. So their board and their management take charge of them. They employ their own doctors, they build their own facilities, they hire their own professionals into the service. So they provide service for their workers and their fleets, and in some instances for the public. So that's the quasi-government institutions. Then we have the securities hospitals. The police hospital, the military, I think the prisons even. All the security agencies have their own hospitals for some obvious reasons. Then we have the public ones, that is the Ghana Health Service, that provides close to about 70% of healthcare service in our country. Then we have Christian health associations. Now, because the Islamic faith also establishing hospitals, we in the ministry put them together as faith-based hospitals. The Islamic ones and the other Muslims, they are building hospitals together with the Christians. Now, the Minister for Health oversights, then the teaching hospitals. I didn't mention that one, because that teaching hospitals are not part of Ghana Health Service. So the Minister oversights the teaching hospitals and Ghana Health Service to the extent of their construction of their facilities, their employment, everything. But we play a complementary role with the Christian facilities, and in some instances even the security and the quasi institutions. If they need some technical advice from us, they write to us and we go and assist them. So if you ask me about the police hospital in Accra, that question should have gone to the Minister for Interior. You see, when I was talking about infrastructure, I was talking about the problems and things that we have with some of our contractors. So as I stand here, I may need to go and do some checks. Other than that, I will not be able to tell you the actual reasons why the hospital, the police hospital has stalled. Like General Hospital, we expect to complete the project in 24 months, and the cost is about 63 million euro. It includes the cost of demolishing and bringing it up with equipment to make it fit for purpose. I think this is about 2 questions that came up, and thank you very much.
Minister, thank you. Let me call on Zoom Lion Ghana Limited that is here. I do understand I have a check. Please step forward very quickly so that we can receive that one. And then Maglin Industries, that has also got products here. Lion. Honorable Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, you want to help me with this? Yes, sir. Please take it for us. A check for 100,000 Ghana cedis, I understand. 100,000 Ghana cedis from Zoom Lion Ghana Limited. We are grateful for your contribution. Thank you so much. And then Muglin Industries. Muglin Industries. Muglin Industries. Where are you? Please come here. Honorable Deputy Minister. Muglin Industries. You have products. So please put your products right here for us. Sanitizers and a few other products which will be made available to frontline health workers across the value chain.
We present you with developing new product. It is a disinfectant spray. What we mostly have on the market is some hand sanitizer, but this one is disinfect your airspace. And I would believe that with that we'll be able to fight the pandemic better and then remove the microbial load in our airspace. So firstly, what we want to tell it to do is that we develop this product which is water-based, and we are donating 1 cedi to the COVID-19 fund for every gallon that is actually bought. And the sample of this one, and we shall do the presentation everyone after the other. We expect that we'll still put our 100,000 million pieces. That would go to the COVID fund sustainable basis. That's the first one.
We're grateful. We are very grateful.
Donating some of the products to the cabinet secretariat, to be used in the conferences, saying that it is airspace disinfectant. And then also to the Minister of Provision, I could see the guy was just using what is it? No, wipes. In place of wipes, get a spray, and then spray it around in the air.
We are grateful. We are very grateful. We are very grateful for your contribution as well. Thank you very much, Muglin Industries Limited. Colleagues, we'll be winding down on today's press briefing. We are very grateful for your time and for the coverage that you have given us. The COVID-19 Relief Fund informs us to inform the general public through you. They have set up an office in the Jubilee House complex. There's an office for the COVID-19 Relief Fund in the Jubilee House complex, and they will be receiving all donations and support items there henceforth. So these will be the very final ones that we are receiving here. The COVID-19 Relief Fund will be receiving henceforth all donations and contributions at their office with the Jubilee House complex. Thank you very much for your time. Thursday 9 a.m. we'll get you some more briefs. Thank you.
Please, the